Welcome. It's so great to have people here for part of the editathon. We are here for the Women and Climate Change event, hosted by Wikidona and Wikimedia Foundation's Sustainability Consortia. This is the event that's running this month. So every 3-4 months, the Wikimedia Foundation's Sustainability Consortia it creates kind of a public space for Wikimedia Foundation staff and community members to contribute to the topic of climate on Wikimedia projects. I apologize for not having video on at the moment. I am in, I'm in a situation right now where streaming is not great for my video, and I apologize for that. We were going to have a trainer from our staff, Sydney, but she wasn't able to participate today, so I'm here. We will be presenter review in a moment. So we will be talking about women and climate today, and I would love to get a sense of, again, I mentioned, put your level of experience in the chat bar, please. So I have a sense of who the audience is. I'm going to do a brief introduction to the topic and to the editing in the space. But if we have brand new Wikimedians, I want to make sure you get a chance to edit. So either unmute and let me know what your experience is, or leave a note in the chat. That would be great. And we're going to be working from this slide deck, so if you want to follow along. And then the Women in Climate Editathon is found at that link. And if you're on the YouTube stream, we will make sure that the links are there later. Cool. So we're editing about women and climate. If you need support, in the slide deck, there's a link to a Telegram channel for Wikimedians for Sustainable Development, which is a community group that can offer you support if you're interested. If you are WMF staff, we also have an internal Slack channel. We're just using the internal Slack channel to support staff and their editing activities. So we're editing today about, oh, and I didn't introduce who I am. Hi, I'm Alex Stenson. I'm a senior strategist at the Wikimedia Foundation, and I'm also a volunteer organizer in my non-staff time, and I am involved in the Wikimedia Sustainability Consortia at the Foundation. We're editing today, or this month, as part of the Wikidona event about women and climate change. The topic of gender and climate is really important in the climate movement right now. And if you participated in the editing event, the discussion event yesterday with Dr. Ayanna Johnson, she and Rosie described just how important it is to have representation of these women leaders in the climate movement. They are at the forefront of both the science and the activism, broadly speaking, of the climate movement. When you look at the kinds of leaders and the vocal kind of communication of the need to change right now, much of it is being led by women. But like in other parts of society, women are often chronically underrepresented and documented. And so documenting women on Wikipedia is a really important part of doing that work. I also wanted to highlight that women from the Global South and marginalized communities are leading local action and calls for climate justice around the world. And so it's really important that we kind of acknowledge and support that. And I apologize for the dogs in the background on the call. And we know this because, for example, if you were following the press earlier this year, Vanessa Nakate was cut out of a picture of youth climate activists at the World Economic Forum in Davos by the Associated Press. Like, the communications communities, the journalism communities are not at all sensitive to the diversity and global representation involved in the climate movement right now. And so it's really important that we document these stories and Wikipedia be part of that work. We also saw just yesterday or the day before a bunch of press about the COP26 conference. So this weekend would have been the weekend in which all of the representatives of the Council of Parties or COP of the Paris Climate Agreement would have been meeting in Edinburgh for the 26th Council of Parties meeting. And we see an open letter and open call come out from women climate leaders around the world to have more representation of women in the negotiations for the global response to climate change. So we know this gap and this erasure is happening all over. So we are running an editathon that includes some WMF staff. I want to remind everyone this is your volunteer activity. Make sure to sign in to your volunteer account. This is really important. And I want to, you are not editing on behalf of the Wikimedia Foundation if you're a WMF staff for this activity. You are participating as a volunteer. So it's really important. To log in, you go up to this upper right-hand corner on the page, and you'll find a login, log out button. You can see I'm signed in with my volunteer account, SADA. And so you should see a username here. So I didn't hear much of like what level of experience editors are. So I want to invite folks in the chat. So I saw Mary Mark Ackerblum, great to have you. I know you're a very experienced Wikimedian. I know Neural Newt is also experienced Wikimedian. And I'm wondering if anyone else in the room, like, are you brand new or are you experienced? What were you hoping to learn? Do you have any questions about editing Wikipedia? Are you a new editor? So I'd love to just go around and check in with you, either in the chat or by voice or video. So I'm gonna stop sharing real quick so that we can chat. So Gregor, how experienced are you and what kinds of questions do you have? Or Sebastiano or Sonia? And Virginia. Yep. New to editing, just here to learn more. Do I need to unmute people? Or interesting. Okay. So invite. Nope. I don't think we're in webinar mode. You should be able to unmute.
Yeah, participants should be able to unmute themselves.
Cool. So Gregor is new, brand new to editing Wikipedia. It looks like Mary Mark and Neural Mute and others are. So I will go back to presenting them, and I will do a full introduction to what is editing Wikipedia and how to participate in this event. So Wikipedia, what is it exactly? If you've never edited Wikipedia before, how does that work? Just like an important thing to remember is that Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. So what we are doing is summarizing knowledge out there in the world. And it's open for anyone to edit. That means you in the room can edit too. And we're really excited about that. We really want to give you an opportunity to edit and learn. So this is a great opportunity to like get your first start on editing. There are some basic rules that are really important to Wikipedia. These are the ones that all language Wikipedias share. There are over 300 language Wikipedias. All of them are a little bit different, have a little bit different culture, but these are the things that bring them together. Being an encyclopedia, seeking a neutral point of view as we share that knowledge, creating free content. So both for anyone to edit and anyone to share or reuse. And then treat each other respectfully and civilly, And then lastly, there are no firm rules. That means everything about Wikipedia is being improvised all the time. Many of the rules there's a lot of culture and tradition, and I'm going to do a brief introduction to like how the good practices are. But often these practices need to be changed to be more supportive of different kinds of knowledge. So these things are changing. For today, it's really important to know about kind of two major policies and two related policies. The first is the concept of notability. So a topic belongs in Wikipedia if it is notable. Different Wikipedias have different standards for notability, but the basic rule of thumb is if there's 3 major independent sources that are covering this topic substantially, it's probably notable. Independent sources could be something, and this is related to the idea of verifiability, which is everything on Wikipedia should be attached to a reliable source of some sort. A reliable source is anything with a reputation for quality and editorial review, right? So it might be a newspaper, it might be a nonprofit who publishes reliable, consistent information, it might be a book, it might be any number of other things. And so these kind of 2 policies are really important. And I'm going to show you how that works in practice today for the editathon. So I wanted to start with everyone just knowing where the main event page is for today. I hope you have logged in up in the top. And if you want to follow along with me, I can kind of show you where and how to get started on this. So your goal today is to write about women and climate change. And there are several different types of actions that can be part of that. But first, we want to make sure that you're signed up for the event. So I just showed you the event page, and this is your home portal for you to learn more about different parts of the event. It's important that everyone sign up on this event page to let us know that you participated. To sign up, you're simply going to click edit or edit source on Meta, and you're going to add an asterisk and then 4 tildes. What this will do, and I'm going to show you at the bottom of the list, when you go show preview, what it does is the 4 tildes do a little bit of magic and they add your username right there on the page. This helps us keep track of who participated. And after you put the 4 tildes, you simply click publish change. This is in the Wikipedia source editor. You will not have to interact with this anymore later today in the event. Though if you want to, you can. I dropped the asterisks and 4 tildes text in the thing. And this is just how we keep track of it. I'm not hitting publish change because I already have my username on the page, but I want to make sure that everyone can get there. And then today, we're going to ask you to, and today we're going to ask you to kind of contribute to actions. If you're a brand new editor today, the thing you probably want to do is expand Wikipedia articles. Expanding Wikipedia articles, there's some ideas for English Wikipedia and these first 2 bullets. If you want to work on another Wikipedia, we can help you find actions. So if you ask questions in the chat or one of the chat channels that I talked about in the slide deck, we can help you. And to expand or work on an existing article, you are going to click on one of these links. And for example, the book, Dr. Ayan Johnson, who talked yesterday, was talking about a book she recently published, and you'll see that there's a list of women who contributed to this book on it. Many of them are blue links. This means there are already women biographies about them. Many of them are red links, and if you're feeling a little bit adventurous, I suggest you can write one of these women's biographies. But if I wanted to find something to do, I might click on one of these biographies, such as this article about Amanda Sturgeon, who's an architect and champion of sustainable architecture, who is notable and well written about. But what I know is her participation in that book project is not mentioned anywhere in this article. So what I can do is I can click edit. And this is all I want you to do today, if you're a new editor, is add 1 citation. If you're a more experienced editor, we can do more and expand these articles more. And I know that she is not yet in, her work on this book has not been mentioned. So I'm going to go to the contributors page, verify that Amanda Sturgeon is in fact on this, and I know she is because I already looked her up. And I'm gonna simply add a sentence. Amanda Sturgeon contributed to, and you'll notice I'm in the visual editor. Sorry, I skipped a step. If you are not in the visual editor, you should have a little pencil button up here at the top right corner of the article, and you can switch from source editing to visual editing here. And the visual editor works just like any other word processor where you can type. So I can say something like Amanda Sturgeon contributed to the collection of essays in fiction, all we can say, of essays in fiction by women in the climate change movement, all we can say. Now, like I said earlier, Wikipedia in practice, everything should have a citation added to it. So in order to add a citation, I'm going to go up to this button here, click Cite, and I'm going to drop the URL to that web page, this contributors page that I used to find the information. So, and to generate a citation. And you can see that our tool generated a citation for me. If that hadn't worked, I can also create a manual citation. So I can click on website and I can kind of fill out the information you would normally have in a citation. But this automated citation will work for you most of the time. And so you can add that there. I'm going to click insert, and you'll notice that a new citation was added. I'll click publish change, and when you publish change, you basically write a little description, adding book she was a contributor to. Publish change. Now you'll notice as a Wikipedia editor is like, oh no, I didn't italicize the book. We might want to add a link. That's great. Wikipedia is always a work in progress, and if you make a mistake, you can go in and fix it. And so maybe I want to add a link here to the article about the book. I went up to this top little link button, found, clicked link, clicked all we can save, and now there's going to be a link to the Wikipedia article. I'm also going to go up here and do some formatting, add italics, and then add another save again. So italics and adding a link. This is a kind of short Wikipedia article that could be expanded. So another option could be going to these sources that are already linked here and seeing if they have any more information about her that we could expand about the biography and make it more useful. There are other kind of opportunities for doing this exact same type of activity. So you might use this tool called Citation Hunt, which allows you to search Wikipedia articles that have these citation needed links. Some of these should link to women and climate change. The tool is not perfect, so I wasn't able to create a perfect kind of trying to find. Here, let me go back. You might. So here's is Jerry Hagel a woman? Is the president of one month? Naomi Klein. So say I clicked on the citation hunt and I'm like, oh, help me find a citation, a missing citation. I might go, oh, I can get this, and click on, you can click the edit button and it'll bring up the citation needed. And you can click on the citation need and say, oh, I can fix this citation by adding a reliable source. And so I might go look in Google and say, so Naomi Klein, and then the Observer Book of the Year, And we can find a source that actually says that. Book of nope, not there. So I might go looking for sources, and when I find it, I would go through the same process of adding a citation. So click on the citation needed, click add a citation, put it in there, and add it. This is the basic activity of contributing to Wikipedia articles. And there are a number of women's biographies, both in these citation hunt links and in these lists that we link to that you could work from. So this is an article, Women in Climate Change. It has many women's biographies of various climate activists that you can work from. So if you are a new editor, that's what I suggest you get started on. If you have questions, this slide deck, and I'll drop the link to it again, has a full walkthrough on how to find the editor, how to add citations, how to add sections. So sections are really important on biographies. For example, if I wanted this Amanda Sturgeon article to have a section, I might say, like, oh, there is common to have a early life and education section. So I might click heading. So early life and education. And then I'll realize, oh, wait, this book doesn't belong there. So I can move it up. And you'll see this is kind of the incremental process that Wikipedia editors go through. And I also found a previous, you can tell that there was a typo, and then there's a typo there. So I fixed 2 typos in a section, and so I might say fix 2 typos, add a section, publish. And so these are the kinds of edits that we would love for you to do today. You'll find many women's biographies here to work from, and you can kind of work through that. And like I said, the slide deck has you to get there. And all of the tools you need to find these are on this Women and Climate Change page. You might also find, so if you're working in another language, there is this tool called Wikigap Finder that can help you find articles to translate. If you are multilingual and you would like to do that, we would love to help you. Or if you're looking to write a new article, many of these links have kind of red links, missing biographies. And if you're a more experienced editor, happy to help you with that. So that is my introduction to editing Wikipedia. And I know I did that very quickly. And I wanted to make sure that everyone in the room has a chance to ask questions if they want me to explain or show anything else. And I forgot. If you make edits today, make sure you report them here on the page. So I will say, and again, you'll have to do this in the source editor, unfortunately. I can say I worked on Amanda Sturgeon. And don't, sorry. No, yep. And don't worry if you make a mistake on this page. Like this link is not gonna work. That is fine. One of our more experienced editors will come along and fix it. So is there any other questions? Does anyone want to learn more? Yeah, so we created these custom links to Wikigap Finder, and I can show it to you. So when you click on it, because of this URL, it seeds the article from women's biographies. So Wikigap Finder is for women's biographies related to global warming, that are in English, but not in Swahili. And you kind of see that in the settings. So English, Kiswahili, global warming. And what it does is it gives you any women's biography that's related to, it's labeled as a woman on Wikidata that could be translated. And you can change the language you want to go. So maybe you want to go from English to Spanish related to the global warming article, and you'll see some of these people. There are, and when you click on it, it'll give you the option, like, do you want to translate this article? And then if you are a multilingual editor, you will end up in this translation tool, which will allow you to do that translation. If you're inexperienced, you're multilingual and you want to do this, it's kind of great. And for it's hard to do another language into English because English Wikipedia does not support. It does not support translations using this tool, but from like English to Spanish, it uses machine learning to do a first draft, and you can go in and clean this up, right? So like Julia K. Steinberg, es una profesora, like, you know, you'd want to kind of improve it in the article. Yeah. So you can find those 3 links. You'll get different kinds of results, but depending on which article you look at. So global warming will get you more scientists. This women in climate change link will get you a few more of the activists and the politicians biographies that are missing. And then the Greta Thunberg will get you more kind of popular figures and activists. So that's there. Does anyone else have any questions? Or if you want to unmute and ask a question out loud, or if you want to learn more. And remember, it's really key to add your name to the event page by adding the bullet and tildes, and then to record the results. And you can see that Amanda Sturgeon was already listed because I was working on that article, so I'm going to remove that. So I can sit here and chat. Any other questions? If you need support at all today, you can reach out on the, if you're WMF staff, on the Slack channel, internal Slack channel, or if you are in the community, there was a link on the Telegram for Wikimedians for Sustainable Development. We can support you if you need that. And was there any kind of interaction or conversation on YouTube for this? Deb or so if there's no more questions, I will be here editing and helping people. I think we can, let me see if there's anyone in the YouTube. So I see there's a note that, yeah, I just saw on the YouTube. So on the YouTube, there's a question: what is the Wikipedia process and fact checking that's made by average users? Generally speaking, Wikipedia is very transparent. So you can see every edit. So if I look at this article about Jerry Taylor, so Jerome Taylor, this is a man, but we can look at the history tab and we can see every edit that comes through this this page. And so by being transparent, more editors, like other editors, can see and change those edits. And it's actually very easy. If I wanted to, I could click undo right here in the edit history. And it's very easy for me to undo the edits. So the idea is that many eyes make all bugs shallow. Also, if you are particularly interested in an article, you can click this star button right here, and it puts it on your watch list. So you can see I'm adding it to my watch list. And then you can click up on the watch list, and you will see all changes that have happened to similar pages. So for example, here I was interested in the article on climate change in cities and climate change in Turkey, and I can see changes another editor made recently. And if I don't think this is a good change, I can undo it quite easily. So quality control is based a lot on that act of kind of review and paying attention to each other's edits. Does that answer your question? And I know there's a slight delay in the audio. I invite Linda or Mary Margaret Ockerbloom or Neural Newt or Sebastiano, if you have any questions or you want to comment. I know Mary Margaret Ockerbloom, you've been kind of at the head of doing women's biography writing and stuff and for science in the US. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Actually, I'm really thrilled to see all the women in climate change stuff. It's an area that I've been interested in, but really hadn't focused on. Although I've picked up a few articles from things like, you know, articles for deletion lists and worked on them, and women in red lists and worked on them. So it's great to see what you're doing with that. Yeah, this is really cool. I get what people don't mind me sort of going on with the gap tool because of course it's new to me.
Yeah.
How do you set the restrictions on that keep it looking at scientists? Because I started playing with the languages and it immediately gave me stuff that wasn't scientists.
Yeah, so the source, so how this works, and I can show it here. If I switch from like Spanish to English, I need to provide it a source article, right? So Caliamente Global, my Spanish is not super good. Just a second. Global. Caliamento Global. Sí. Bueno. So if I search global warming in Spanish, and then use that as a source article, what it does is it uses our search API to return women, like the first women on the search results, right? So it uses our normal kind of related stuff, and you actually end up getting quite relevant articles. So like this woman's a professor at a university in Chile, focused on ecosystem services and kind of that kind of thing. The easiest way to kind of seed across languages is the Greta, like use a woman's name, because it's easy to kind of attach, but you notice you get kind of like a different profile with Greta Thunberg than you would of like Ayana Johnson. Like Ayana Johnson's not in Spanish yet, so you don't have that source. So yeah, that's it's good but challenging at the same time. And like this would be a good article to actually write. Clara Meyer, she's one of the youth activists that's well known in the German movement, and she's actually been a protest with Greta Thunberg. So that would be someone I would recommend doing. But English Wikipedia doesn't like the quality of the content coming out of this tool, so it's hard to publish unless you're an experienced editor. So just keep that in mind and do that. And you see that it doesn't use the machine learning either because of the restrictions on English Wikipedia.
Thanks, that's great. I had missed the step about seeding it with an article, which is why I was getting very bizarre results.
Yeah. And the seed step is built into these URLs. So if you're going from English to one of these other languages, it'll do that. But you have to reseed the step because it uses each language's API.
Terrific, thanks.
Yeah, great. Great to have you, Polly. I'm glad you showed up. Sorry you missed the initial introduction to editing. But if you have questions, I can answer some basic ones right now, and then we also have another training, and this will be on YouTube afterwards as well, so you can use that also. Anyone else have questions, thoughts, comments? Anyone need help finding an article to work on?
Hello, can you hear me? Hi,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I tuned into this a little late because I had some errands. Will this presentation or this meetup, is it going to be on YouTube?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. And there's also another one in like 2 hours, an hour and a half.
Okay, the same thing?
So I'll be doing the same introduction with like a slightly different audience. So if you have other questions, yeah, we can answer them there too.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. And the basic thing is make sure you create a Wikipedia account. So let me stop
I have
sharing
an
this.
account already.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, make sure you create an account, and then let me go back to screen sharing. Make sure that you sign up to having participated here. So to sign up, you go edit source, add an asterisk and 4 tildes, and I'm going to copy that text to here so that we know you participated.
Okay.
And then when you've kind of worked on an article, we suggest reporting it here. We're not using the programs and events dashboard or one of these other tracking tools because it's a multilingual month-long event that has lots of experienced editors, and those tools don't work.
Okay, so all I have to do is put in like 4 of those little, what do you call those things now?
Tildes, and I just dropped it in the chat. If you have a US keyboard, it should be a shift in the top left corner of the keyboard. If you have a international keyboard, you're on.
And it will automatically put my username in there, right?
Yeah, the 4 tildes. Yeah, and you can to kind of make sure, and I'll kind of do the edit again.
I'm gonna
you can click show preview.
So I'm gonna copy everything from the chat.
Yeah.
So I can look at it later.
Cool. Yeah, and as long as you're
being in person till it's like this is another world.
Okay. It is.
Okay, I'm gonna just copy everything from the chat. Okay, now we'll go back to the meeting.
Did you have a specific topic you wanted to write or learn about, Linda?
I worked on an article with 3 other people, and it has something to do with conservation and saving sacred forests and sacred groves. So it does relate indirectly to global climate change, because one of the things to keep climate change is keep environments intact. So it does relate. I have done work with people in Ghana that do deal with climate change issues in terms of planting trees and things like that. And I've worked with people in Belize that deal with climate change issues. But it's men and women. It's not like specifically for women or specifically for men. It's like community-based projects. So I have some experience dealing with climate change issues and planting of trees. And in fact, we were able to get someone to fund growing the nursery in Ghana like 7 years ago, so that they can deal with the climate change issues. But the only problem is when you solve one problem, you get another, because it put a lot of the women out of work. They used to water all the plants. So now they put in an environmental type of, I forget what you call it now, but a way of watering the nursery. So the nursery, it like got like about 4 or 5 times larger than what it originally was. So it's dealing with the climate change issues, but they found other ways to navigate the women into other incomes, like growing a certain mango that they can make a lot of money off of. So it worked out to some extent. So I'm pretty familiar with climate change issues and the planting of trees through community projects.
That's awesome. We actually ran an editathon about a week and a half ago that was focused on climate change in Africa. And this article, Climate Change in Ghana, could use some work. I know. And this was not one of the ones that was expanded there. So if you're interested in more of the general search, but we are focused on women at climate change. So also one opportunity is adding the women's perspective or gender perspective to climate change. One of the things you find, so the Wikidona project is very much focused on biographies. But one of the things you find more generally in the climate movement is that climate justice and climate action disproportionately benefit or affect or negatively affect women, depending on the perspective.
Exactly. I just showed you an example. When you plant more trees, the women can lose their employment. In fact, I have a photograph of one of the few women that was left to work at this particular nursery in Ghana. So it was kind of sad. It's like, God, it used to be so many, but I actually have a photo.
Yeah,
maybe I can upload that to Wikicommons, and I can get back with the people that I work with, and they can tell me more about who's involved in this type of project.
Well, and there's articles like forestry in Ghana could use, like, there's no pictures of women here, and there's no discussion of that kind of climate considerations in this article. So like there's lots of work that could be done.
Oh yeah, that's what we've been finding out, because I've been working with some friends over the last five weeks, and there's so much work that needs to be done in that area, and there's so many steps. Yeah.
If you're new to adding photos, you may already know how, but we are going to be demoing that in one of tomorrow's sessions with the Philadelphia Wiki Salon, and also people there will be able to go to a breakout room and do science-related editing. And if it's okay, I'll link back to this Women in Climate Change work list from there, so that people can kind of cross-pollinate.
Yeah, for sure. I think Wikidona and Women in Red and kind of Sustainability Consortia were really interested in kind of expanding the umbrella for these issues. The only way to talk about climate action and kind of bring the right knowledge to communities is for everyone to be involved, all hands on deck. And so we need to tell everyone's story and talk about everything, and everyone can add your group to the supported by for this, and you can add the event.
We have something on Thursday.
Yeah, so we had a talk with Dr. Ayanna Johnson yesterday. That was you can find the YouTube link here. That she's a climate activist in the U.S. Who's very focused on bringing women's voices. And Rosie Stephenson Goodnight, who's our one of the founders of Women in Red has been, got a chance to talk to her, and it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. I'm so glad that these movement activities are becoming intersectional and connected. So great.
Yeah, I dropped a link for tomorrow's session into the chat as well. So,
Yeah, and you should definitely add it to the event here. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts you'd like me to share while we're streaming? If not, I think I might finish this, stop the stream now and hang around in the chat to help anyone around. If you want to learn more, we'll have another stream in about an hour and a half. It's right here, 1830 UTC, that you can join or connect. We are really happy that everyone's getting a chance to learn and edit. Thank you, Polly. And I know you joined a little bit later. There's the YouTube recording as well, if you need any other help.